Good morning, brothers and sisters. Oh, come on, you can do better than that. I know it's early, but good morning, brothers and sisters. All right, labor's in the house. Thank you so much for that kind introduction, and I really want to thank President Shakeberger for inviting me to speak to you all this morning. Because, you know, one of the things that I love most about my job is when I get in a room and speak to real hardworking Americans, folks that go to work day in and day out, that volunteer and give to their communities, because those are the people that I represent in Congress, and those are the people that inspire me to work hard each and every single day that we're up here. And I don't just join you here as a member of Congress, although that's important, but I'm also a proud member of IBEW Local 441, so I'm a fellow union sister in the struggle. And I probably don't need to tell you, but the last couple of years have been really challenging for organized labor. Conservatives, both nationally and in the states, have been attacking workers and worker rights. At a time when the average household income is down, our infrastructure is crumbling, and local governments are cutting services, conservatives are focused on trying to break the backs of working families, as if working families somehow are to blame for the economic state of this country. But I want you to know, mark my words, that those attacks on working people, like the ones that happened in Wisconsin, they're all going to come back around to bite these same people in the ass. Because, brothers and sisters, hard-working Americans can only be pushed so far before we start pushing back, and it's about time that we start pushing back. It's probably not a big surprise if I tell you that the Republican majority in Congress is out of touch when it comes to the needs of working families. I know because I come from a working family. I know what that struggle is like, and I arrived in Congress, and I look at folks who've never had to worry about making a mortgage payment, and I know that they just don't get it. But you don't have to take my word for it, because the latest polling has Congress at a dismal 15% approval rating. 15%, brothers and sisters, not a great number. A poll taken earlier this year showed that people preferred, in this order, cockroaches, traffic jams, lice, colonoscopies, and root canals are more popular than members of Congress. The good news is that Congress still did manage to beat out North Korea, Lindsay Lohan, gonorrhea, the Ebola virus, and the Kardashians in popularity. So we're not the bottom, but there's certainly room for improvement there. I really think that the extremists in Congress have earned that abysmal approval rating, because instead of trying to take care of our country's business, we've been lurching from one manufactured crisis to the next. From the debt ceiling fight of 2011, to the fiscal cliff, to the recent sequestration, to a possible government shutdown, extremists keep pushing our country into further and further uncertainty. And while hardline ideologues have pushed our country to the brink, the people that are paying the price are hardworking Americans. In 2011, our nation's credit rating was downgraded by Standard & Poor's for the first time in our country's history, all because extremists in Congress actually considered defaulting on our debt obligations. They wanted the government not to pay us bills. And what did that threatened default accomplish? What did we get out of that, you might ask? Well, it drove down consumer confidence, it scared employers into hiring freezes, and it sent the market into a tailspin. Not exactly good for economic recovery. And now many economists are predicting that our economy is going to go into another recession if we don't fix the deep, reckless cuts of sequestration that went into effect just a couple of weeks ago. These cuts are going to be devastating at the state and local levels. At a time when we should be investing in things like our education and our infrastructure, instead we're making across-the-board cuts that only hurt our economic recovery. And who are we hurting the most? The bus drivers who get people to and from work every day, the teachers who teach our kids, the nurses who care for our sick and injured family members, and yes, the firefighters who are willing to run into harm's way to protect our families. That's who's going to be hit. But the sequester cuts aren't just going to mean layoffs and higher unemployment. They're also going to mean drastic reductions to important programs that matter. This means cuts to things like SAFER and FIRE grants that are used to address staffing, equipment, training, and health and safety needs. Brothers and sisters, I come here with a simple message, and it's time that the House Republicans join the House Democrats at the table to fix the sequester and work out a plan to responsibly reduce our deficit. And responsible deficit reduction doesn't mean forcing firefighters into the Social Security system. Throughout your careers and over your many years of service, you've earned your retirement benefits. Lately, in a quest to find solutions to our deficit, there's been too much talk about mandatory Social Security coverage for all public employees. 2 separate national commissions on reducing the debt included proposals to bring all newly hired public employees into Social Security beginning in the year 2020. I just want you to know that I've always supported keeping uncovered firefighters out of the Social Security system. I have a hard time understanding, I just don't get why so many of my colleagues think it's okay to break the promises that we've made to workers about their retirement and their benefits, because it's our job to figure out our budget issues without turning your lives upside down and your retirement plans on their head. If you sense a little frustration in my voice, it's because I know that Congress can do better. We can get back on track if Congress thought more about the people that they represent and less about rigid ideologies. Look, my dad was a mechanic. He worked 14-hour days to support a family of 7 kids. And my mom cleaned houses to help supplement that sole income. They believed in sacrifice to get ahead. They believed in giving their kids a better shot at the American dream. But they also knew that it wasn't going to be given to them, it was going to be handed to them. They knew that it involved a lot of hard work. My father used to say to us that shortcuts were the quickest way to fall behind, because he knew that you get out of something what you put into it. But some of my colleagues think that indiscriminate cuts and slick promises and sound bites are good enough. Somehow they've forgotten that America's working families are working harder than ever, and they're falling further and further behind. Because guess what? Today's working families aren't playing by the same rules that my father was when he was raising us. The rules have been rigged by people who think somehow that the wealthiest Americans in this country are the ones that need our help. It used to be that people got paid a fair wage for an honest day's work. It used to be that families could still take a vacation or save for college or buy that first home if they worked hard enough and played by the rules. But while worker production has risen dramatically over the last several decades, real wages have actually decreased if you adjust for inflation. Well, who benefits from this increased worker productivity? It ain't the workers. Bailed out bankers on Wall Street and multinational corporations suck the gains from that productivity, and they keep it for themselves. How can working families get ahead if the rules are stacked against them? How can our families continue to hang on when jobs disappear overseas and our wages inch downward? Well, we can start by fighting back. We understand what's at stake, and we have to speak up and stand up for working families. Until we hold these extreme politicians accountable for their decisions, nothing is going to change. So you and me and everyone in this room, we know what we need to do. We have to keep working, we have to keep pushing, we have to keep fighting. Because now more than ever, brothers and sisters, we need to kick a little ass for the working class. So I want to thank you for being here today. I want to thank you for your role in standing up for yourselves and speaking out for workers across this country. Know that I join you in that fight from the inside, and that my door is always, always open to you when you come to Washington, D.C. God bless you, brothers and sisters. God bless the labor movement. Keep up the fight. We need you. Thanks again.